Hi, hello everyone. I just finished watching Men in Black 2. It is the only real one of the Men in Black movies I couldn't really remember, and god damn, do I just love the exaggerated humor of the Men in Black series. It's so funny. But that's not the topic of this video. I was annoyed today, so I felt like talking about things that annoyed me. And I think I'm going to use horror movies as my example. I'm not the biggest fan of horror movies because I feel like 99% of horror movies require the main characters to be morons. I really do. And it's a gripe I get with a lot of horror movies in general, like even good ones. Like I liked the movie It. It was a good movie. The fact that the main monster was beaten by a few kids with the power of bravery really ticks me off. Because all that means is that Pennywise could be beaten against someone whose fight or flight response was to punch him in the face. I get that it's supposed to be about fighting your fears and being courageous, and that as long as you don't succumb to your fears, you can fight against them and everything, or at least that's what it seems like with how easily they beat him towards the end. But that's like a main gripe with a lot of horror movies I see. There's also another one I watched. I don't watch a lot of them anymore. It wasn't The Exorcist. It was. Damn, I can't remember. But The Nun. Yeah, I think it was The Nun. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. This headmistress goes into a church that she hasn't been inside of in forever since her son died, and she finds the chains unlocked. And instead of just, relocking them like a normal person, she investigates inside the church. And, like, you can argue that she did that to make sure there weren't any other children in there or anything, but I feel like that's a reach. Um, was it like The Nun 2, maybe? I don't know. It was one of the Nun movies. I don't know how many there have been, but that annoyed the hell out of me. That whole movie was just me. I was dying laughing during that movie because the people were so stupid that I could have sworn it was a comedy. There's another movie I watched called The Oculus. The Oculus actually wasn't too bad, but I also watched that when I was like 15, maybe older. I don't really remember. 15, 16, 17, somewhere around that age group. And I don't remember much of any of it. There's I haven't watched many horror movies. I also haven't enjoyed many of the horror movies that I've watched, other than as sources of comedy because I thought they were stupid. I just think that there's too much in a horror movie that relies on the main characters being an idiot. And I think that if you have to rely on people being stupid in order for your movie to work, like, yes, there's a possibility in real life it could happen. Some people aren't that smart. But come on, man. They're going because they're going to have them act like idiots the entire way through the movie, and then become geniuses, but and have them figure out how to beat the villain in some obscure way that requires like investigative work and crap like that, when most of these people are getting murked in the most ridiculous way possible. I did like it. It was a good movie. My biggest gripe with that movie isn't the stupidity of the characters, it's the way that the monster was beaten. But I covered that already. Overall, kind of iffy towards a lot of horror movies. I'm also not the. I'm kind of a comedy movie fan. I wasn't when I was younger. I felt like some of the jokes were really forced. Maybe that's because of the Seinfeld effect. For those of you who don't know, the Seinfeld effect is so when Seinfeld was first made and introduced, a lot of the jokes were original and really funny, but now they've been retold so many times that watching it in with a modern context is just kind of cringy. I don't know how much that has to play on most comedy movies. I think it's a bit, quite a bit. But I've also just never really laughed that hard at comedy movies. I do like stand up comedy a lot. I think stand up's really funny. I think, in terms of comedy movies that I really like, the Men in Black series is a really good. I like banter. I think, like, genuine banter between two characters who are obviously close to one another, like Jay and K are, and who get on each other's nerves but also love each and respect each other. That kind of stuff is really funny to me. Uh, the silent humor of those two just staring at each other and they're having like a silent argument is top tier humor. Ugh. I also like stupid punchlines. I like stupid jokes. Don't get me wrong. Stupid jokes are wonderful. Like, I think one of my favorite stupid jokes was five toes and isn't your foot my foot. It makes me laugh. I don't know why. It's dumb. But I think it's because I haven't heard like that before. It's not a joke I've heard often, at least. Whereas it seems like a lot of comedy movies, it's the same retelling of the same jokes over and over again. Hmm. Um. I also. Well, this is gonna be an obvious one. I hate when series are cut short. Firefly being a perfect example. There's so much. I haven't seen the Serenity movie yet. I really want to. But when major things like that just don't have nearly as much, they could have gone into so much more depth with that universe. That would have been awesome. It's one of the reasons I love gigantic stories similar to One Piece, Bleach. The Prairie of the Orange Tree is a book I read recently. It's really long, has a lot of information about its world, and she also released a second one. I think it's called like A Day of Fallen Night that I'm reading right now. Those are all incredible. But yeah, not the biggest fan of comedy movies for retelling of the same bad jokes repeatedly, making them all suffer from the Seinfeld effect. And then horror movies because of either bad writing, stupid characters, or just, yeah, mostly just those two. I feel like horror movies are the ones that are done the worst frequently. The newest Saw movie that came out, a bunch of surgeons lied to Jigsaw about a surgery they performed on him. That's all I know, just judging from the commercials. Oh, I also hate how commercials nowadays just spoil the entire movie. But, like, if they knew it was Jigsaw and they did that, they're just complete morons. Which, don't get me wrong, a lot of people with really high IQs are. Which sounds weird, but something I firmly believe to be true. Or rather, with a lack of common sense. Or they didn't know it was Jigsaw, and a bunch of surgeons just completely disregarded their oath and screwed over a random person just cuz. Which, you know, lovely. There's some horror that's done well. Like, typically, if it's horror, I don't really expect the heroes to win at the end. I think it's scarier, in fact, if they don't. But I don't really watch it, so I guess I really can't comment a whole lot on it. Well, that's a long enough video for a stupid rant about random things. I hope it didn't annoy you too much. If you have any recommendations for good stories, just let me know. And I hope you all have a wonderful night.